Greetings and salutations, fellow gamers. Lukey P here with another episode of Supreme Ruler Ultimate. Let's play with Brazil. Now, unfortunately, I've had some problems with my recording software again, and I lost the episode. I've just played where I've just conquered Peru, I think it was. Yes, it's Peru. So down the west coast of South America. Chile will probably be our next victim, either that or Argentina, depending on how things go. Might take Venezuela, but probably not yet. Now, so what I'm going to do with this episode is I thought I'd do something a little bit different, which was I will talk you through what I do after conquering a nation. So we kind of got, I think they started about here, was it? It was like around here, I think. No, let's have a look. I know exactly where it was because that was one of the first things I took, and I blockaded the mountain passes here. So I think they must have started around about there. And actually, no, it was there. That was the first city I took, I think. So yeah, it's somewhere around here. And basically, our forces got down to around about there, and then they capitulated, realising they didn't really have a chance. So we've suddenly got all this land. It's unsupplied, and the reason it's unsupplied is simply because we haven't let the game tick on yet. So it's not really that this area here has zero supply. It's that when the game transfers control of a country from one to another, it takes a while for the new country's supply to get established. So what I'll be doing is I will be moving all of my units down to a barrack somewhere down here, probably there actually, ready for our next war of conquest. And I will be waiting for the supply to tick up. Now, the other thing which I've been doing is I'm doing these conquests not for production but for population. So sometimes you will conquer things because you want you need your production. So it might be you've got no oil. So if I was short of oil, then if you have a look at the commodity filter here, Venezuela would be a great place to conquer because they've got loads of oil around here. Let's see about coal. They haven't got much coal. No, but for oil, they'd probably be a great place to conquer because you could build a good supply depot there, surround that with oil. You could build another good supply depot there, surround that with oil. That would be enough for a pretty decent sized country, to be honest. I mean, when you think all of our country at the moment is supplied really with this oil field up here, and these oil fields down here. We haven't really got too many other oil fields around, to be honest, I don't think. Yeah, we've just basically got some very well supplied oil fields. So you can conquer sometimes because you need it for production. If I look through what I've got, my problem at the moment, I've got good supply on everything. You can see on this I'm not even, and this is because I've just conquered somewhere again, so my actual use has gone up, and that is literally just my population. Population is the only thing which uses timber. That will correct itself next tick. It's not a case of I need these 12 timber mills I've still got on. It's literally a case of next tick it will go to 101% of demand, so it will go to something like 13,000 or so. So you can see as I look through here, none of these I'm actually running short of. And the ones I am is entirely through my own choice. So industry goods and military goods. I'm choosing not to turn on my production capabilities for either of those. And the reason I'm doing that is because industry, it costs me more to produce than buy off the market. And when I do buy them, I go and get good deals from China and Italy. Military goods, simply I've got a lot in stock and I only really need 257 a go, so that is sustainable for nearly 2 years, even without me turning these on. And when I do turn these on, I think this tends to be a lot higher than the market price. So I'm not conquering for production. What I'm conquering for is to help my economy, and you see my economy is actually starting to creep up now. So our diplomacy is down a lot because the world market really doesn't like us because we keep declaring war on people. So much so now we're actually ranked as Axis leaning. But you'll see our inflation has dropped down, so it's now 20.7%. Unemployment is 2.2%. And that is despite the fact that for a very long period of time now we've been running with a very large budget deficit. And the only reason we're running with a large budget deficit is, if I actually go to the right one, expense report, is I'm pumping $121 million per go or per day into the economy, constructing things. And that is because I keep conquering and then elements of stuff needs to be rebuilt. And for example, I conquer somewhere like I've just done and choose to build a bunch of roads across rivers to help my units get around. So you can see all across. In fact, I'm actually going to build a few more while I'm here. So I've got a road there, so I probably want to cross that river there. And why not run it all the way down across that river there as well. So yeah, there's things like that. So I'm not conquering for production, and actually I don't want production facilities here, because whereas before we started our conquest with Brazil, we really looked at the supply very carefully. If some of you watched the early episodes, you will know, for example, that I looked at the supply here, and this is now 91% because I've got an air base and a supply depot there. I should probably build a second supply depot there, actually, in fairness. You'll know that here is another, this is 83%. Those are actually lower ones, ironically. So around here, around the capital, this will probably be 100% really. That's probably to do with that ticking thing where the production for some reason drops low at the start of the day and then works up over the course of the day. But basically around here we've got 90 to 100% production. So these are really efficient places to have buildings, and we've concentrated a lot of our production around areas which are particularly high supply, because I've built them up to be high supply. So I don't particularly, if we look at somewhere we conquered recently, we're probably going to struggle to find anything, because I do tend to scrap stuff rather quickly after I build it, after I take it. So that's not too bad, 90%. So actually I'm probably going to resume construction on those at 90%. And yeah, I think we've kind of scrapped a lot of this. We haven't rebuilt those there because that's only 52%. So I'm kind of like, why would I want to have something at 52%? It's not a good use of my limited population, so I've just left them there and not rebuilt them. I may even think about scrapping them altogether, actually. Whereas things like hydro plants, just because they take so long to build, I've kept those there because those are quite a good source of electricity, given the maintenance of them, and they don't require any raw material input. I've kept these here because that happens to be 97%, so if I do need more coal, I can turn those on and my coal production will go up. Same here with this 96%. But if I look at the country I've just inherited, now granted a lot of these will be in poor supply areas, but I conquered this area quite a little while ago. This is 76%, which isn't too bad. But some of them are literally in the middle of nowhere and they've got no hope of being decent production wise. So for example, this here, I always scrap medium consumer goods factories, but that's only it's got an airfield, but it's not got an air base. It's got a little village which will help with supply, but it's not got any supply depots, so I'd need to build that up in order for it to be efficient. And that's the case with a lot of these things. It's simply that I don't want them and don't need them. So one of the things I do after, almost as I go and as I conquer countries, is as I go I start scrapping stuff. So I don't want another coal power plant there. I don't need it. The supply will go up. Because like I said, when I conquer a country and it falls, it defaults the supply to 0. But I don't need more power plants for coal. And the supply there isn't going to be as good as the supply just outside my capital, where a lot of my power plants are. So why would I waste the population and the maintenance supporting that when I've already got plenty of power? And my problem isn't power, it's a shortage of people. And actually my production costs are going up over time because my inflation is high, because my unemployment is not high enough. Really, I want unemployment to be about 3%, and I'm at 2.2%. So what I want to do is when I conquer this country, and I inherit a country which I think had, a lot of the countries along here also have, that's actually got higher unemployment than most, but I think a lot of them had like 2 to 3% unemployment. They're producing all these goods which I don't need them to produce anymore, because I've got plenty of capacity in my current economy to support that new population and sell to them at a profit. So what I do is, as soon as I conquer them, I start scrapping all their production facilities. And actually what I was doing at the end of the episode, which failed to record, is I was moving down this country and evaluating what I wanted to keep and what I didn't. So for example, I don't need a barracks here and here right next to each other, so I'm going to scrap that barracks, and I'm going to tell it to resume construction on that village, because having a village completed isn't that bad an idea. I do want seaports every so often, so I'm going to tell it to resume that, because I do want things along the coast here to provide places for my ships. I don't want a barracks there, and I don't want a coal power plant there. So I'm basically going round, and as I'm going through things, I don't want small power plants. I'm just scrapping their production because I don't want these things. Small coal power plant, no, scrap. Barracks, well, I scrap that one there. Have I got another barracks nearby? No, I'd probably best leave that. So let's repair both of those. What have we got further down here? So we've got some coal power plants here, and I'm probably going to keep these. And the reason I'm going to keep these is I've got a goods consumer full size that I'm going to keep, and I've got an air base and a seaport right next to each other. So odds are this will be a little well supplied area around Peru's former capital. So I might as well keep the stuff they've built there. But all the stuff outside, I just don't really want it. I keep airfields every so often for my air force to be based at, but I don't want medium industrial goods, and I don't want agriculture, so I'm just going to scrap them because I don't need them for what I'm trying to do, which is basically grow my population relative to the amount I produce. This again, I don't need agriculture. I produce plenty of food without any agriculture plants, so I'm going to scrap that because I'd rather have the population and save on the maintenance. If I look at this, I've got no agriculture now because I'm scrapping the last one. I'm basically I'm using about a third of my capacity of agriculture, and I haven't even got any agricultural plants. That's literally just people working the land. So anything up to there, I could multiply my need to consume this by 3 times and I'd probably still be fine. And odds are, as I'm multiplying it, it's because I'm conquering land, which will push that up further. So I probably won't have a great need for agriculture until I make a massive conquest, like maybe the East Indies, which I've been looking at in previous episodes. Though it strikes me those episodes might not have been recorded properly, but basically I'm thinking I'm going to take the rest of South America, but in terms of my next target, I'm actually thinking about coming over here, and the reason I'm thinking about coming over here is these countries really don't like me, which means I've got great casus belli on them. But also here, East Indies, 79 million people. It's a colony, so it's only going to have garrisons. 12 billion treasury. Not so fussed about that, but basically, colonies only have defensive units, and if I conquer that, I double my population overnight, and that would be very good for our economy. I say it would tank our GDP and our approval ratings in some ways, but I'm a dictatorship. I don't have to care about approval ratings. What I want is population. So that may be where we're going next, and actually we are building up here. We've got 5 land production, and we are building here just Marines, literally just Marines, who we're going to put on ships and send over and try and start taking some colonies. I've got a question about how far my ships can sail, so I may put some Marines just on simple sea transports, but I've also got some of these, which are specific troop transports. They've got quite a long range, so 9,600 kilometres. They carry an awful lot of oil, so 6,550, which is, I think, yeah, it's not as much as my flagship, which I may send over there with them, but it's still a lot. So yeah, that's where we're at. So I thought it'd be useful to talk through what I do with a country post-conquest, being as I can't show you the conquest because the recording software didn't work, but suffice to say it was relatively straightforward. I lost one ship. An escort decided to go toe-to-toe with one of their capital ships, which didn't end well for our escort. So I pulled the escorts out and sent in the subs, and capital ships generally can't hit subs, and lo and behold, the subs sunk their capital ship very easily. And basically our artillery just did a number on them, so the recording was quite loud. It was just thud, thud, thud of artillery bombing their cities, pinning their units down. The infantry would then go in and shoot their pinned down units. It was basically very straightforward. The war consisted of me mainly clicking and dragging and telling units, hey, go and conquer that city, and that's pretty much what happened. So yeah, so that's where we're at. I'm just trying to think if there are any other things we want to. That's just the middle of nowhere. I actually don't even want that oil field. I'm going to scrap that as well. That's one of our supply depots. So what we're doing now is we'll just let this tick on a few turns, and we will see if we let it tick on for a few days, you will see the supply capability start to go up. Now I'm just going to drag over all of these, filter to land units and send them all down here, and then I'm going to find 2 particular units or 2 particular groups of units. So I want my mechanized infantry engineers. I think we're repairing a particular airfield earlier, but let's send them there. And then these guys who actually spread out are number 6 motorizing. You see a few of them have a little bit of damage because they basically went to war for us. They got bored, and they're quite efficient actually. The engineers, they basically took quite a few cities. Some of the outlying ones where they just had a few garrisons, they just kind of wandered in and took them over. Let's send them over here to look at that bridge for now. So that will redeploy our units. Yeah, let's just speed this right up. I wonder what happened with our. Yeah, we might do it. Let's do a little bit of trading. We haven't done that on one of these videos for a while, I don't think. So it's getting a bit harder to trade. Germany still like us. So we can probably try and trade a 200 million or so with them. Italy, you'll see are down to neutral with us, which is better than most. It's a pretty good price. USSR, they're down to neutral with us. They still give us a pretty good price because they actually need those. But then if you get to China, where actually they don't need these anymore because they're now making enough more or less for their population, when I offer them these, because their value with us has dropped quite a lot. Oh, actually, they've gone back up. Oh well, they must. Oh, they've realised how short they are. So actually, while we've got the chance, let's really let's sell a lot to China, because China are quite rich now. Yeah, they're very rich. Let's sell them like 357 million and see what happens there. And then let's put a little bit of buffer in there so that they accept the deal. Yeah. And then let's see what London are cold towards us now. Yeah, not too bad, but I mean, given that I don't think they've actually got any of those. No, they've got 0 and they only offered us double. I mean, that's a reflection of the fact that they are not on good terms with us anymore. So Brazil, we feel outraged towards them and they feel concerned towards us, because we keep going to war with people, which is kind of understandable. Hungary, not on too bad terms with us. Okay, that will do for our consumer goods. Let's let the game tick on. See what sales we get. They're all coming in except for Italy. We often end up rejecting our offers. So let's try again. Let's just put a little tiny bit on top. That will probably secure it. There we go. And let's see about, do we need soya oil? Yeah, we could do with selling some oil. So let's just see if any of these guys have got any consumer goods they want to sell to us. Not quite at below cost, so let's just give them that'll do for Germany. Let's give them 100 million. China often needs oil, but isn't willing to pay that great a price for it, if I recall. That's not massive because they've got quite big stock. Let's sell a little bit to the UK as well. Try and improve our relationship with them. Yeah, they barely want. I'll accept that anyway. They barely want anything from us at the moment. Ethiopia. Yeah, Ethiopia were trading with us at one point, but evidently we're not very popular with them at the moment. Let's just offer them a little bit of oil. Yeah, that's fine. It's a loss, but we're doing it because they were good trading partners at one point. Yeah, so we've let this game go on a few ticks, I think, and the supply hasn't really started picking up yet. You'll notice we've got some of our aeroplanes flying over trying to top things up. These are our supply airplanes. But yeah, you can see the startings of supply around here. Starting to spread out from near where their capital was. Germany didn't accept our offer and neither did Italy. And then Italy come in and want to buy. Let's reject that just on principle, because if you don't want to buy it at the more expensive price price. Why should I sell it to you at the cheaper price? Oh, now they're really desperate for it. Let's see if we can sell them a couple of 100 million. 408. Also 408. So we're not going to see if we can find the little the sweet spot of price. So 408 is evidently their cap for paying for that at the moment. Let's try it that. Let's see if Germany has a cap. It doesn't, I don't think. What we might do is wait for Italy to buy theirs. So Italy's bought theirs, and then let's sell to Germany. If we've got 20 million barrels, let's sell 20 million. 1.7. That was interesting. So then if I go up a little bit more, okay, that'll do. And then let's sell them like 1 million on top, as just to kind of give buffer to see that the deal goes through. There we go, that was successful. Excellent. So we've sold them 511 million worth of oil for 1.83 billion. Pretty nice work if you can get it. Well, we're a bit flush with cash. We're back up to nearly getting towards 90 billion. Let's see if they've had enough time to make some more industrial goods for us. They have. Do we want to buy that? I think we shall. The only disappointing thing is we can't sell back to them straight away, I don't think. What I might do is I'm going to wait till they've used up a bit more of their consumer goods so that I can sell some back at a very high price. But yeah, you'll see here supply is starting to expand. Yeah, these guys should just hover on that river and basically help build it. There's a bridge just for something to do. Our number 4 mechanised infantry are we're helping to build those barracks. They may be needed to build some supply centres. Let's just send them out there for now. Germany want to buy more petrol, so a certain amount, but we'll accept that in the interest of good relations. Did we get all of our... So we did have some of our ships were damaged a little bit. No. So they're all out and about. We've got number 8. No, we haven't, so what I'm probably going to do is make some of these ships, group them to number 8 so I can find them a bit easier in future. So these are all my L-class subs. That's one of my escorts, that's the capital ship, those are some more escorts. And you will be number 8. Let's make you number 9. Go. So let's move our number 8s down to the seaport down here. Yeah, get to barracks and get healed eventually. So you can see the supply has just steadily been improving. that's, I mean, that's just, they're asking me to sell it at a ridiculous loss. And they're asking me to sell basically a large chunk of my reserves. They're asking me to sell 23,000 a day for 7 days. So let's reject that and then say, if you want to buy it, let's have a sensible discussion. So you want to buy 23,000 a day for 7 days, which is like, I don't know, a couple of 100,000. Okay, that's alright. Twice the price. Hey look, a load of our units. I wondered where they'd all gone. They've gone back up there because they've decided that some of the roads which span through our territory are a better shout to get to the border than our I may build a road between these two places because that seems like a good little linkage there. Yeah, rather than going through and ploughing through what was supply dearth of Peru, they actually went back up round and used our road network that way to get through, deciding it was a better supply option. And given that tanks kind of ground to a halt from lack of supplies, I'd imagine. Keep toggling between lack of supplies, but it's in a supply rich area now, and our supply planes have hovered over there, but I think are deciding to return home now. Let's just move our air units which are out and about to there. So yeah, you can see the supply has started to materialise, and it's not amazing, but it's okay. And these are supply dead zones, so I think we need to decide. I think at this point that is a dead zone, and we probably need, because the danger is if we fly some of our air units over this part, the game is a bit dumb and sometimes it will let them crash. So we've got an airfield there, we've got an airbase there, but here I kind of feel we need one there, which I think is where our engineers are going to there, aren't they? Because that's not got great supply either. We may want to build a couple of supply depots there. Minyang is eliminated. Was that part of? I think that was part of like somewhere up there. No, I've gone to the wrong continent. Somewhere up here. Yeah, Minyang. Here's a small little patch, but China's got pretty big now. That's where China's territory stretches to, and they've got. Oh, that's Soviet Tenu. Oh, that's China. They got the same colour. That's what was confusing me, or more or less the same colours. That's Soviet, and that's Chinese. Yuguristan. Don't you say that? But yeah, Brazil's looking pretty. We're not as big as the US, but we're getting there. We're getting there. So yeah, we're still watching this part get rebuilt. We've done some trading. Our money's kind of hovering between 88 and 90 billion, which is absolutely fine. Our units are all making their way over to there. We may want to build a supply depot kind of in there, I think, so that we can kind of into their country from that direction as well. It's actually quite difficult to conquer this country because there's not a lot here. We might even take Argentina first, actually. I might think about that off camera, because we can capture that country there probably and then build some barracks and air bases here and just their capital. Might be an easier way. That's if we're desperate for short wars, which I'm not massively fussed about, to be honest. So we've got some of our engineers sitting around doing not very much. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to move our number 4 engineers and I'm going to move them down here, because this is a little bit of a supply dead zone, I think. Oh, it's alright at 61%. But I just want to build something there as like a jumping off point into Chile. Germany back in for more oil. Okay. We had a research breakthrough. Military production 1. Oh, that's pretty cool, because let's see what that can... That's actually quite a useful jump forward. So warfare, military production 1. Let's just get all these kind of units, which are like special forces, where we can paratroop in. So they've got 18, they've got 18. The only problem is that they're quite... It takes a long time to produce these guys. So they're 10, 8 and 18. You've got 12, 12 and 18. That's why you've got the extra 5 days. Wow, these are just loads of quite good... yeah, just quite good things basically. So what's it opened up in terms of research? We've got tank tech 37 and large bore guns. How do we get military production 2? That's a question I want to ask. We're evidently not there yet. No, okay. Does it allow us to research any cool new units? So we've got... Oh, we've got our elite guard. 12, 5 and 18. So it's not quite 10, 10 and 18, is it? And that takes us 46 days to build. So 12, 5 and 18. And paratroopers are 10, 7 and 16. I wonder about going and seeing if we could... I mean, these aren't very good compared with the units we brought in, but it might give us a chance to buy some cool new units. So let's do that. This episode, I know it's running a little bit long, but it's a bit of a different episode. Just looking at different things we can do. So this is their 12, 12, 18. Which I like. What tanks have they got? They've got a BT5, a T26. I think their T28s they've sold us are better than all of those. (21, 12, 13). What have we got at the moment? So our best unit is 20, 11 and 13. So yeah, we could look at upgrading actually. Only a little bit, but so awesome for that. And then let's have a look at what Germany have got on offer. Oh, I like some of these. quite like that. So that's a good air gun. We want that. So let's bid for that. And then I think we've already got all the right things on that. I just want to have a look at there. So it's 12, 5 and 18, or I can have the same thing for 12, 12 and 18. I'm slightly baffled by this. So I want that. I'd rather buy the German units because Germany's army is known as a bit better. What else can we look at to upgrade our units? What about some... We're actually fine for units over the South Americas, because we've got a much better set of tech already. I don't think we need to worry about these guys actually for now. So let's just watch those come through. Diplomatic exchange successful. Here we got them, we got them. Okay, so that might, I think that might see us out for this episode. Oh, you know what we should do? We've now got a little bit of a stock of consumer goods. Let's show you how we trade with China. So, China at the moment, if I wanted to sell them 500 million, they'd pay me 1.4 million-ish for that. So let's see what happens once we've given them a huge sum of money. So that is, let's go right up to the limit. That do. So we're buying 4.8 billion for nearly 4 billion, so it's not the best price in the world, but it's okay, and it saves us worrying about it. It's going to give them access to more money. So we do that. Come back with a counter offer asking for a top up. We'll say okay. So our money's gone way down, but they are running out of consumer goods, so now let's offer to sell them 500 million, and they pay us not really that much more actually, in fairness. Let's just see what we can get out of them. So if we offer them up to that 3.6 they've gone to. So that really is their of the million to see the deal through. So we're selling that, so it's 1.2 billion-ish. So double would be 2.4, triple would be 3.6. So we're not quite triple, but we're all right. So let's do that. See if that goes through. It hasn't gone through. That's always a bit annoying. $120. From 125 for a bit more. So let's clearly we didn't give enough buffer. So let's put consumer goods at 120 again, and then let's put a 2 million buffer. There we are, successful that time. So that means we've sold at 1.23, 1.24, 3.334. So that's kind of helped our economy back up. say back up, we weren't really in trouble, but it's just I like to recoup money after I've spent it. And you can see down here now our supply has improved. So as we've played this episode and let it tick on a number of days, the supply is up. And off camera I'll look to improve the supply of some of these more barren places. Yeah, and basically link up and make this a fully supplied part of our country, because I don't think anyone's going to invade us here, so we might as well have good supplies. What we might want to think about is if the US ever was to declare war on us, we may start, making a supply dead zone to try and tempt some of their units in and kill them, but we're nowhere near that stage yet. So I'm going to wrap that episode up there. We've looked a bit at how I deal with countries when I've conquered them, given I don't really need their production capabilities at the moment. So I hope that was something useful and instructive. It builds on some of the lessons we had in earlier episodes around inflation and the likes. I'm going to wrap that episode up there. Thank you for watching, and I will see you again soon.